All right, everyone. Hopefully you are here for the Using Smart Upsells to boost your customer lifetime value. It's going to be just a moment or two until we get started, but hopefully you can hear this audio, and we will be with you shortly. All right, everyone. Welcome to Using Smart Upsells to boost your customer lifetime value. This is put on by Receiptful. If you would like, you can head over to their website, receiptful.com, supercharge your email receipts, increase your revenue by 5% in just a couple of minutes for free. They're doing some pretty amazing work over there, so if you have not checked it out yet, you're going to want to. Now to start off, who cares about this? Let's kind of go over our roadmap of why you're here and what you're in for. But we're going to be looking at who cares about this type of copywriting for the upsells and the cross-sells. We're going to be going over the different types of upsells and cross-sells. We're going to be looking at the implementation, and we're also going to have plenty of time for questions and answers as we go through this. So you know, the two co-hosts that are going to be on this episode is myself. My name is Jeff Large. I was previously a teacher and recently turned entrepreneur, looking to just help people and expand my own reach. Currently, I'm running Come Alive Creative, which is a web and graphic design shop, and then I also host another podcast called the Happy Mitten Podcast, and we cover the business of board games. The main person that we're going to have with us today teaching us all about the copywriting and this content is our good friend Liston Witherill, and he is a marketing strategist and creative chief executive at GoodFunnel. He helps tech and info businesses understand their customers to sell more. He's an environmentalist and a hip-hop artist, but that's a different story. So welcome, Liston.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right, just a little more. I mentioned this already, but about Receiptful. Again, Receiptful lets you send beautiful email receipts that increases your customer's lifetime value through the use of targeted, personalized marketing messages and upsells. You can see that it is compatible right now with other companies like Shopify, WooCommerce, Magneto, Easy Digital Downloads, and more. So one more time, thank you for Receiptful putting this webinar on, and you can learn more about them at receiptful.com.
Great.
Otherwise,
well, thank you.
Yeah, go ahead,
Jeff.
I was going to say, let's go ahead and kick this off. Liston, take it away, part one.
Great. So first of all, thank you so much, Jeff, for hosting today, and thank you to Audie and the team at Receiptful for putting this on. I'm really excited to be here, and I'm really excited to share what I know with all of you who are listening. So I just want to say, you know, everything that we talk about today has been proven. We know for sure it works. $billion-plus companies are using these exact tactics and strategies that you can employ for your business and start to see higher conversion rates and more sales. I also wanted to let you know that I'm not going to be talking about copywriting specifically. That'll be part of what we talk about, but I think you're going to find that it's much, much more actionable than that. So let me just jump right in. This may be the most important slide that you see today. And that is that upselling and cross-selling are huge, huge, huge opportunities because you've already won the customer. So what we can see on the left here in this gray area is the probability of selling to a new prospect. On the right, you can see the probability of selling to an existing customer. So what I see all the time with my clients, and I think we all have this temptation, is to be very, very concerned with always adding more and more leads to our pipeline. And really what I want you to take away from today is once you convert that lead into a customer, now the real opportunity exists. You've already spent all of your money in order to find that lead, bring them into your business, deliver an amazing experience to them, and now it's about doing it over and over again rather than just focusing at the top of the funnel. So here's a really, really common upsell, at least in America, that I'm very familiar with, which is, would you like to supersize that? So McDonald's increased their business tremendously by just asking the simple question, would you like to supersize your meal for 39 cents? You'd get a bigger drink and more fries. And that is a perfect illustration of an upsell. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about what the difference is between an upsell and a cross-sell. So an upsell is designed to get a customer to spend more money on the same thing. So in that example of McDonald's that I just showed, you're already buying the meal, you already have a hamburger and you have a Coke and you have fries. Well, if you just buy a bigger Coke and more fries, the company makes more money and you've already decided to buy that meal. Now you just get an enhanced version of that purchase. A cross-sell, on the other hand, is designed to get customers to buy complementary products. We'll go into this a lot in this talk, but I think that'll be really clear for you. So if you're buying a camera is a really obvious one, and you'll see this example, then you can buy a case for it and maybe another lens and a memory card and a book about how to use it, and that would be a cross-sell, so complementary products. So here's a great example. This is from Apple.com's website, and this is actually when I bought my MacBook. This is the exact screen I saw. So you put it in your cart and you give them the signal, you raise your hand and say, I'm ready to buy. And then the first thing they say is, well, you can buy a better version of that. And you can see at the top here, you can get a faster processor, you can get more RAM, you can get a bigger hard drive. These are all upsells. Very, very classic example of an upsell. A cross-sell would be, hey, by the way, this doesn't come with a CD-ROM drive or a DVD drive, which very few of us use these days, but you can buy one for $79, and it perfectly complements this product that you've already chosen to buy. So that's a really obvious upsell and cross-sell example. So let me ask you, of these, which do you think performs better, an upsell or a cross-sell? Luckily, you don't have to answer. There is data on this subject. And you can see that an upsell outperforms cross-sells by a factor of about 8. Not only people who clicked on the suggestion, but you can see the actual overall sales of people who clicked and bought is way higher versus cross-sells here. And I think the psychology behind that is that if you make a conscious decision to buy your MacBook or buy your McDonald's meal or whatever you're buying, you've already said, I vote for this, I want this thing. And so if you can buy an enhanced version of it, it basically sweetens the deal for you. Versus if you go and buy that MacBook, you're not necessarily in the market for a printer. You're not necessarily in the market for a scanner or a CD-ROM drive. So you're bringing in a totally different purchase, related but different than that core product that you've already voted to buy. So I think that that's the psychology at work there. So upsells really are a great way to focus your time and effort when you try to employ some of the tactics that we're talking about today. So your copy definitely matters, and it can make it more persuasive when you're putting these deals in front of people. So a great example is a really basic ask, which I see all the time, get premium for 20% off, versus what I would call a typical kind of copywriting message: level up your purchase now to get 20% off in the next 48 hours. So I want to talk really briefly about why the second option is much better than the first option. So the phrase level up is very targeted to a customer persona. It's much more specific than get premium. Level up has a connotation with video games. It has a connotation with being bigger and better. I'd say it's much more actionable and concrete than premium. And it also has this scarcity factor, which is you can only get this offer in the next 48 hours. And so that's another really typical way we would try to get people to make a decision, yes or no. We're not necessarily trying to get people to do things they wouldn't otherwise do. We just want to give them a really, really clear and actionable choice one way or the other. And I think what you'll find when you do this is you're going to get a lot more people buying from you as a result of that. So let's take a look at another example. This is a discount versus no discount. And I know discounting can be scary, but it can tremendously increase your sales. And this is another kind of level up opportunity. And so what they found is by discounting these packages, you can see this middle one goes up by a factor of 100%, and then this last one goes up by a factor of 25%. You can see the increase in revenue. 121% increase in total revenue, 46% increase in average order value, 52% increase in conversions. So even though you're giving a discount and you may be afraid, wow, you know, I may be making less money, so therefore discounting is just a way to get people into my business and then sell them more in the future, what it's actually doing is pushing them up the ladder. It's pushing them, the people who were going to buy this low-level offer, it's pushing them up to the middle offer. People who were going to buy the middle offer, now that last offer seems a little bit sweeter. So that's a really, really actionable example also about how you can do this and how it will affect your sales.
Hey, Liston, I'm going to actually pause you right there. That's a really interesting point because that's something that a lot of the time I think tells the opposite, where I've heard a lot of different research say that their discounts are a bad idea. And so it's pretty interesting to see that the overall increase is going up in terms of what you're making with the profit.
Yeah, and you know what we're looking at here is a subscription model. So you're going to have some recurring revenue as a result of the discount that they've given you, versus if you're selling, just for simplicity's sake, say t-shirts in an e-commerce store. If you're trying to sell solely on the idea of price, right? Maybe you're trying to buy their email address. You're less certain that they're going to buy in the future. Versus if you're delivering ongoing value to that person, discounting a little bit will maybe reduce your margin on that customer, but overall increase the lifetime of that revenue.
Mm-hmm. Very good point.
Great. Okay, so this is a study from MailChimp, and if you don't know, MailChimp is one of the biggest email providers in the world. And what we're looking at here are words that imply time sensitivity. I talked a little bit about I talked a little bit about time sensitivity and creating urgency before, but what this is doing is showing really, really good evidence about how adding words to your subject lines increases the open rate. So, you know, adding words like urgent, breaking, important, alert basically is implying, hey, if you don't open this now, you may be missing something, and it's increasing some loss aversion. So that is something that you can use also in your upsells and cross-sells. We'll dig into that a little bit. So now I want to get into part two, which is types of upsells and cross-sells. And I'd just like to reiterate before I go into this, if anybody has a question, please do go ahead and pop it in now. We're happy to stop for a little while and talk about whatever is most important to you, because our goal is to deliver great value to you and make sure that we answer your questions. So please just let us know.
Yeah, listen, I'm looking at the
Please.
webinar chat room right now, and I'm not seeing anything specific yet about what we're talking about. It looks like there's some people that are interested, and the meat of this, of how we can actually start implementing. So I think at this point we're okay to keep moving, and then hopefully, like Liston said, everyone, if you have a question, feel free to ask, and we'll make sure we pause Liston and jump in and get something answered for you.
Great. We'll keep it rolling then. So now, what I really wanted to convey in that opening part is this works, right? It makes financial sense for you. The economics are totally in your favor, and I think you'll find that if you implement something versus nothing, you will absolutely see a difference. I don't make guarantees very lightly, but I could almost 100% guarantee that you're going to see a lift of some sort if you implement something that you see today. So in the next slide, and these slides will be made available to you. You can see on the top the different types of businesses that we're talking about, so e-commerce, info businesses, and software. And here are some different types of upsells and cross-sells: premium offerings, package deals, discounts, affiliates, and warranties. And so, based on your business, some of these tactics will make sense for you and others won't. So you can refer back to this graph to take a look at what may make sense for you. But let me give you some examples. So a premium offering is something that you see all the time in information businesses. This is a screenshot of Nathan Barry's authority book and educational course. Now he has maybe a $9 or I don't know, $20 book that he sells, but he says, wait a minute, you can also buy all this other stuff with it, right? So once you opt in and say, I want this book, he's saying you can also get 9 video tutorials, 11 video interviews, 7 additional resources. This 90-day launch plan is prominently featured. And that's going to cost you $249. This is exactly the same idea that I showed you earlier when Apple says, do you want a MacBook Air with a faster processor? Exactly the same thing. He's just saying, I'll deliver more value to you. I'll charge you more, of course, but you get all this other stuff since you're already interested in this. So that is perfect for information businesses. And if you're selling gadgets or something like that, I think you have a lot of opportunities to do that as well. So you can see here's his pricing page. And one thing that I think is important when you're doing a premium offering is to show really clearly, like Nathan does here, what you get at each stage. And so the copywriting trick, maybe not trick, but strategy that I would ask you to use is what he does, where he says, here are these 4 bullet points, and this is what you get for 39 bucks. And then he moves them over and says, you get all of this stuff plus an extra $50 off ConvertKit plus all this other stuff. And then he says, but if you want $249, you're going to get even more than that. 9 video tutorials instead of 4, 11 expert interviews instead of 5. And you can see that he bolded it. And he also added these 2 other things: iBooks author template, habit building iPhone app. So what he's doing really clearly is showing you, if you buy the premium offering or if you buy the middle offering, here's what you're going to get, and it's very easy for people to compare them. And so if you're going to give people additional choices, which I would say usually does insert some friction in your checkout process, you have to make it exceedingly clear for them to understand what they would be getting at different levels. Then there's the buy more option. Of course, I couldn't do a talk on upselling and cross-selling without some examples from Amazon, the masters of all e-commerce. And what they do here for razor blades when I buy them is they say, hey, you can subscribe and save, but we're going to send them to you every 3 months, whether you need them or not. And so what they're doing is basically saying, instead of making this a one-time purchase, we want you to continue to buy it over and over and over again. And therefore, we're willing to take less of a margin, knowing that we'll make it up on the volume from you. So a subscription model is one way to do that. Amazon, again, I used the example of a camera before. This is what I would call a cross-sell. And they're offering a package deal. So they have 2 ways of doing the cross-sell on this page. One is click this yellow button and you get all 3 of these things that are all complementary products, and you probably want a nice backpack and a big memory card for your awesome new camera. And And then at the bottom they say, well, wait a minute, you can also go a la carte. And then they've also added another thing here, which is a lens, which is an even bigger cross-sell than the other two things, because the backpack is $45 and the memory card is about 20 or 30 bucks. So that is another great way when you are selling something that has other products in your inventory that makes sense to go with that product. You can just put it in front of people and say, hey, you may not have thought about this. This may be a good way to make your purchase.
Hey, Liston.
Please.
If you could click back to that previous slide.
Yes.
I'm curious, the stats that you gave us in the beginning, do the cross-sale percentages alter at all with an example like this, how there's two options in order to cross-sell versus just one?
You know, if I had Amazon's data, I'd be able to charge a lot more than I do now. So I wish I knew exactly how it performs with them. But again, my inkling is the psychology here is that I've already bought the camera. I don't have it here, but if you go and buy a camera on Amazon, right, and you see the big, huge image, let's look at this as an example. Instead of razor blades, let's imagine a camera was there. What they'll do is they'll say, you can buy the camera with just the body, with the kit lens, or you can buy this really nice lens for an extra $500, and that would be an upsell. And I would guess that that is far more effective than saying, hey, you should also buy a backpack. Because if I'm buying a camera, I've already voted that the camera and the lens are really important. I may or may not need a backpack. Maybe I already have a backpack. Maybe I already have a case that I love. And so my guess would be that the upsell still works a lot better.
Okay.
But again, I wish I could have Amazon's data. That's just a treasure trove. Next thing is a discount, and this is a really standard way to get people into your business and experience your business and get them to buy more. In this case, this is an email from a company called A Book Apart, and they're using an internal event, which is their anniversary, which I would guess most customers really don't care about. But the reason they should care about it is that they get 15% off due to this anniversary for A Book Apart. So using an event to trigger a discount is a great way to put offers in front of people, and I think they did that really well here. And if you say, my average margin on delivering one of these items is 40%, I can easily give you 15% off and still capture 25% margin on that deal. And so that's another way to kind of look at selling to existing customers. So I would recommend using discounts primarily to people who have already bought, because you didn't have to spend any additional acquisition on that person. To your earlier point, Jeff, if you're spending money on lead acquisition and you're giving them a discount, that can be a losing scenario, right? Because you've already cut into your margin just to acquire them in the first place.
Yeah, I think that's why it's important when, whether you're in a service business or whatever it might be, something that we've discussed off air even a little bit is to find the clients that you actually want, and then if you can make them continuous clients, that's just going to be that much better for you.
Absolutely, and if you're buying or if you're selling books, right? Your market clearly should be readers, and if you can't sell to them repeatedly, then there's probably something wrong with either the books you're selling or the audience that you have. So yeah, I would look at that too, but that's a much bigger topic than we can cover today. So this is a combination of two things, which is a discount and a cross-sell. So this screenshot, I believe I took this from Verizon's website. I put an iPhone 6 in my cart, and they immediately popped up and said, hey, look, you can get this other stuff, right? But at the bottom of the page, or actually, I'm sorry, at the top of the page, they say get free shipping on these must-have accessories. So that's their discount. That's their way of sweetening the deal. Since you're already buying an iPhone, get these accessories with it. We'll ship it to you for free. So rather than saying 10 or 20% off, that's another way that you can give a discount, is by reducing the transaction cost, in this case shipping. So of course there's a referral discount too, and I think this does two things. Of course, it expands your audience. and it builds goodwill and maybe entices a purchase from an existing customer. So one fun fact about me, I love bags, backpacks and suitcases and rolling suitcases and all of this kind of stuff. And so I love this company, eBags, because it's just a great place to find bags. And what they do after I bought was they sent me this email that says, invite friends, get $10 off. And not only that, they give you a big yellow button to click, and they give you 3 options to share either through email or through your social channels. And that is a really good way to expand your audience. And I have some good news too. Receiptful actually is adding this feature to their product really, really soon. It's in the works now. It's in development. They're putting some final touches on it. So this will be available through Receiptful. And this is a good way, like I said, of expanding your message and basically letting a satisfied customer be your brand ambassador. I'm now putting in front of all of you this email that eBag sent me. Because they're allowing me to invite my friends. And that's the kind of goodwill you want to build with your customers and have them share with other people. Another cross-sell opportunity is affiliates and business development partners. So that basically means you can go to other people who have an audience that you know would be interested in your product and offer what you have to sell to them, targeted at that market, and you would give the person whose audience you're using some of the revenue. So it would be a revenue sharing deal, but that's another big, huge way to cross-sell. And you can do that for other people too, right on your receipts if you wanted to. Here's a perfect example of an affiliate deal. This is Laura Roeder, who's a fantastic social media marketer and personality brand in general. She just has really good stuff. And she's offering Marie Forleo's B-School, which I'm guessing she gets somewhere between 20 and 40% of the signups that come through her list. Another way that you can increase your revenue, and this is very well known, is through a warranty. And Best Buy does this when you're in the store. Most electronics companies do this. Amazon does this now on electronic purchases, where at the point of purchase, after someone adds something to their cart, it pops up and says, hey, do you want to add some protection to protect your purchase? And the research is definitely thick that this is not a great deal for consumers, depending on the product, of course. But that is to say that your business can make money doing this while offering peace of mind to those who want it. And so, there's third-party people you can partner with who offer the warranties themselves, and you can just resell them. Similarly, with Apple, they offer a warranty. This came after I bought my MacBook Air, and they said, buy now. You still have some time to protect your purchase. So you're probably wondering, how do I implement all of this? And I want to give you some really concrete steps to take. So again, here's a chart. This has all of the types of upsells and cross-sells that I talked about already on the left side of this table, and over the top here are ways that you can implement them. So I don't want to dwell on this too much, but you can get the slides later and take a look at how you can implement some of these on your business. But in this example, this is what I would call an in-app upsell. And essentially what they're saying is add to cart here, and then they're popping up and offering you another thing that you can buy as a result of this original purchase you made, another, a lens or a memory card or something like that. This is from leadpages.net, and when I'm logged into my paid account, they have a little banner at the top, and it says you have one free sub account remaining. You can see that at the very top here, and it's saying, hey, add this sub account. You can use it with your clients. And what they're really saying to me is, we have an agency plan in case you didn't know about it. So if you're servicing a bunch of clients, you can add sub accounts, and for a nominal fee, $10 a month, say, for each sub account, and we would be happy to give you another one for free. So this is what I would call in-app. I've already bought it. They know that I'm a good person to put this offer in front of. In your shopping cart and checkout obviously is a great time to offer more options for people to buy from you. So going back to this, in the shopping cart, that's the place where we would offer things like discounts, affiliate sales, warranty offers, like we saw already. Here's another example for shopping cart and checkout. So I'm right here in my shopping cart and I get a chance to buy more from Apple. Receipts, obviously, and this is something. This is the 1800s version of what Receiptful is doing. This is a receipt I got from Safeway, and on the back they're offering a discount. And so no wasted space, of course. If we want to bring that into modern ages, of course, you have a product like Receiptful, and this is actually a view of Receiptful. And here's an option of what you can do with your receipts. They say 15% off your next purchase right here. After someone just bought, we're giving them an option to buy more of Nick's socks. As a first-timer reward, we'd love to give you this 15% discount. Pop in this code, has an expiration date, which is great. Here's another offer, and this is also from Receiptful. There's a cross-selling opportunity here. You already bought socks. What about these other socks that you may like? And what about some fun shoelaces to go with your sock purchase and really give your feet more life than they had before, which, by the way, I am a huge fan of colorful socks, so this really resonates with me. And here's another opportunity. This is a little off script of upsells and cross-sells, but this is another option of something you can do with Receiptful. They're showing us a little bit about the brand. Meet Nick. I'm a guy who wanted to remind myself that business is fun, and I'm so fun. I ride a scooter with no helmet, and I have a mohawk. And so it's really developing some personality after the purchase and trying to build some affinity and more of a relationship with the brand and with the person you just purchased from. And it has a big, gigantic call to action, read our story, which the idea there, of course, is not just get to know us, but go back to our website and spend more time there. So those are all great options. Of course, you can do an email drip. This is a really simple example of an email drip that I put together. Feel free to steal this if you want. But this would be like a really typical e-commerce drip campaign where we cross-sell people, we offer them a warranty, which is what Apple does. We ask for their review because reviews create social proof and drive more purchases in the future. We offer them a discount on a new product. We offer them referral, on and on and on. And ideally, this would go on forever until they tell us, we don't care about your emails, we don't want to see any more of these. But you can see with just 7 emails here, I've, back of the napkin, built 60 different, a 60-day email sequence, which is amazing. So that it's a really powerful thing that you can do to implement some of these tactics. And then, of course, direct contact. I'm a big fan of direct contact because I find that when I buy from a brand, for me at least, time is extremely valuable. So if I can talk to a live person there and I know that they really have my best interest in mind, they want to help me, and they're going to be responsive, that's a company I want to do business with. You're going to have to actively decide, is that how I want to build my business? Because customer service can be expensive. And if you want to dump all of your money into ads and paid traffic, it's going to be more difficult to put a lot of money into customer service. But I'm a big fan of this. And a really low friction way of doing this is just having a chat box on your site. And that's what this Receiptful email is saying. Click this big button to chat with us. So wrapping up on email drip, I think that your current customers are, I'm sorry, this heading is wrong. It should be wrapping up this whole conversation. These are the big 5 takeaways I want you to have. because I think what you're going to find is if you remember these, you're going to find new sources of revenue, right? It's basically free revenue that you didn't have in your business before, and I and Receiptful and Jeff, we all want to give that to you today in this conversation. So number one, your current customers are an untapped revenue stream. Two, upsells convert 25 times better than cross-sells. So initially, at least, focus on upsells if you can, if your business model lends itself to upsells. You can implement at least one of these things today, and that can be as simple as your autoresponder or your receipts, or just adding a couple cross-sell opportunities, which there are plugins that exist both in WooThemes and Shopify. I don't know what technology you're exactly using, but those are two really common platforms, and they offer plugins for cross-sells immediately. Email follow-ups are super easy to implement. If you're using a program like Drip or MailChimp or GetResponse or whatever you're using for your shopping cart should have some email implementation as part of it. And I think maybe the best news of all is that we're offering you lots of free tools that you can use to increase your revenue now. So I hope that you can take at least one thing out of that, and that concludes my presentation. So that brings us to part 4, which is, are there any questions?
Yeah, I'm looking now. We have one from, it looks like, Dale Higgs. It says, in an earlier slide, I thought it said that upsells convert 8 times better than cross-sells. Is that correct?
Let's go back. Thank you, Dale, for checking my math. I definitely need a check. So down here you can see that this, I'm approximating this at about 25% here. So actually, I think my math should be 20 times more. So we're comparing this red box here to this red rectangle.
Okay, even so, it's like 20 is oh,
I guess it's 12 times more. This looks like about a third. I'm guesstimating.
This is what happens when you do math live.
Right. Well, okay, so you definitely got me. But the bottom line is there's still a gigantic gulf between the two. That's the main thing I want you to remember.
Okay, so everyone log that away. Cross-sells. As people, another thing that came up a little earlier I saw in the chat was people seem to be interested in the refer a person, get a discount. Do you have anything else that you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I think that the way you do it is really important. So let me go back to my, so they say invite friends, get $10. You know, I think that what they're doing here is it's really easy to understand. So the tricky thing about referrals is if you start to make it complicated and it's hard for the person to understand how they're actually going to get their discount, or, you know, do I get $10 just for referring people? Do I get $10 if they make a purchase? And here they're saying they need to make a purchase in order for you to get your $10. I think you need to include that. But I would say experiment at a really basic level. And so if you're not doing it now, definitely do it. And I love the messaging here, invite friends, get $10. Super clear, anybody can understand that in about 3 seconds. So I would use that as a rule of thumb, because you're asking people really to go out of their way. So the simpler and more compelling you can make that offer, the better off you're going to be and the better conversion you're going to see on it.
Excellent, thank you. Yeah, we have another one. It looks like this is what our listener is saying. A very typical pattern that I see is that a new customer will place a small initial order, really love what they get, and then come back for bigger orders. I'd appreciate any ideas for improving the retention rate and spreading. Sorry, I just jumped out. Spreading the retention rate and speeding up how fast customers return and make another purchase.
Wow, so that's so highly dependent on the product you're selling, and I wish I knew what it was, and I could probably give you some more specific ideas. But one strategy I use in my business is to check in on people very regularly. So maybe at a more regular interval after they buy that initial small purchase, check in with them and ask them how it's going. And that ideally should be a very simple just text email from the CEO if you're willing to do that, and say, your business means a lot to me. I want to know how it's going. And I think that if you're checking in with people, you're doing a couple things. You're building goodwill with them. You're showing that you care about their experience. And you're able to collect some feedback. I think you'll be very surprised that usually somewhere I see conversion rates of 20 to 40% of people will hit reply and say, it's great, I love it, or, oh man, I'm having a really hard time with it, and I'll tell you why. And that feedback is golden. That's what's going to help you build your business. So that would be one of the strategies that I use to accelerate that timeline from initial purchase to the next purchase. Now, that's not always in our control. One thing I would caution you on is to not treat your clients and customers as just numbers on a spreadsheet, right? Because people have lots of options. It's easy for them to go out and research other businesses. Certainly we want to build our business in a way that makes sense for us, but we need to do that in the context of whatever makes sense for our audience. So I say all of this just to say, don't push too hard, and maybe what you need to do is bring some more people in at maybe a lower level in order to fill up the pipeline with people who are waiting to move up to that higher level, and just be patient with some of the people who are moving through your process.
Specifically, I don't know if this will help you at all, Liston, but the product that we're talking about is handcrafted artisan jewelry, all one-of-a-kind items.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, to me that's a marketing exercise then. So all entirely one of a kind. Boy, I'd be now you've really piqued my curiosity, Jeff, and whoever asked that question. I think putting more offers in front of the person is the first thing I would try, and I would test that so that with a small group of people, so you're not turning some folks off and seeing a lot of unsubscribes from your list. But yeah, I would test that with putting some more offers in front of people and slowly graduating them up to different price points. So if the first price point is, say, $50, start putting $75 to $100 offers in front of them, and then sort of move them up the ladder slowly that way.
Yeah, that makes sense. Also note, it looks like, let me get back up here. It looks like Dale did the math, and it's about 16% for the cross-sells versus upsells, so Liston.
Okay, thank you, Dale.
Another thing that people, it's not really a direct question, but maybe you can touch on this as well, Liston. Some people are sharing mixed results on the discount coupons. How you mentioned, one of the things that you can do is after the fact, after a purchase, you can send a coupon of 15% off or whatever it might be on your next order. Some people are saying that they did see results with that. Some people said they did not. Do you have any tips for that area?
Yeah, I think I'm going to take it a little meta here. I saw Heaton Shaw speak recently. He is the owner of a software company called Kissmetrics. And he said, people ask me all the time, how do I know what to do in marketing? And he said he just asked them, well, what's working for you? And they say, this thing is working and that thing is working, but only two things are working. And he says, great, do more of that. So, I think the way I'd answer that is if it's working for you, definitely push more in that direction. If it's not working for you, then of course the question becomes why. Is it a compelling enough discount? Is it high enough? Is it too good to be true? Is it specific enough? I would also recommend, if you're not doing this, adding some urgency. So put a deadline on the discount, which marketers have understood for 100 years. And I think, if none of that is moving the needle for you on discounts, you may just have a product that is not going to, or an audience that's not going to be persuaded by discounts, and that's okay. Then you try the next thing. So, I'm not sitting here saying all of these things work 100% of the time, because they definitely don't.
Liston, is there a best practice on that urgency? 7 days, 14 days, more?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think it really depends on the size of your product and how frequently someone would buy it. So if you're selling a relatively low price product that people would buy over and over again, definitely shorten that offer, right? So I would say 48 hours or 7 days, and you see this in fashion all the time. You get offers where it says, 24-hour sale, 48-hour sale, 36-hour sale, and what they're doing is they're testing which one works best for their audience. If you have a bigger ticket item, I think generally, and you see this with product launches all the time, you're going to have a longer window where people can make a decision. And so usually what I would see is about, oh, sorry about that, you would see about 30 days would be the right level for a bigger product, where you say 30 days only, we'll give you a discount, plus usually we sweeten the deal with a couple extra features or a couple different things that you can get, maybe direct support or a package deal with something else. But yeah, you would want to, the more difficult it is to make the decision, I think you're going to want to give them a little bit more time.
Mm-hmm. What about something that I was just wondering, because you come at this with a different type of lens with the job that you have. What is a approach or maybe a company that you haven't mentioned yet that you feel like is doing a really excellent job, or that almost every time makes you want to buy up or buy across?
Oh boy, that's a good question. How gullible am I, and who pushes my buttons? Um, huh. Yeah, that is a really good question. When you say a different lens, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
What I mean is, with you having the copywriting background that you do, it seems like you'd be able to notice when people are trying to
Oh,
do that
right.
faster,
It
and that
still
type of
works.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's why I'm wondering, like, when do they still get you, even though you know what they're doing?
Sure. Okay, so I think the short answer is if it's a good product fit for who I am and what I care about, it's going to have a bigger impact on me. I'll give you an example. I was at a conference last week, and one of the vendors got up there and gave a talk, did a fantastic job, and at the end of it, he said, "By the way, I have this package of stuff that I sell for $6,000. If you buy it by the end of the conference, I'll give it to you for $2,000." I really considered buying it, which, basically he said you have 2 days to make a $2,000 purchase. Given the environment, that made a lot of sense. I didn't end up buying, but there were 25 to 30 people in the room who got up out of their chair and ran full speed to the back of the room to make sure that they could get the offer in that moment. I've never seen anything like that. Another one that gets me is I'm a big sucker for like self-improvement type programs, and so there's a fantastic direct response company called Mind Valley, and they sell something called the Silva Method, I think is their primary product. And their marketing is just fantastic. And what they do at the point of purchase is they say, oh, okay, you opted into this $300 course. At the end of it, by the way, you can also get these two other complementary products for $500 instead of for $300 each, right? So rather than spending $900, you can spend $500, and I did buy that. I also like to meditate, so again, good product market fit, right, for who I am and what I want. So those are really good options. So I think for me, if we want to be really specific, premium offerings and short-term discounts tend to work the most.
All right, here's another question that came in. Does bundling seem to be an effective upsell tool? This person has implemented a couple of bundles but haven't really dove into it yet.
So the short answer is yes. It is effective. If people are not responding, here's what I would recommend. Here's your action step. Is whoever bought this certain product saw the bundle and they didn't take it. If I were you, I would email them directly and say, hey, we offered you this bundle. I'm not here to sell you anything. I was just curious, why didn't you purchase it? And then start a dialogue with them and figure out Why didn't they purchase it? What may have enticed them to purchase something else? Maybe they'll say, the bundle was just wrong. Maybe they're going to say, if you had bundled products X, Y, and Z rather than X, A, B, C, I would have bought it. So that's the kind of thing that you would want to know for your business so that you can craft a bundle that's more compelling. Does that make sense, Jeff?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And I think it's important to do that engagement and actually sort of cross the threshold, and if anything, too, some of those psychological effects that makes you more human when you actually reach out and people see that there's a person behind whatever the
Yeah.
logo is or whatever the company is.
Yeah, and now I'm talking as a copywriter, but I think one of the important things to do whenever you're in touch with your clients and customers is to put them in a position to help you and let them know that they have amazing information that's going to help you build your business, and you're looking for their expertise as someone who went through the purchase process to get some feedback so that you can improve their experience. And I think you'll find a lot of people will be willing to help you if you do that.
Here's another question that just came in. What are your thoughts on putting in efforts for paid advertising versus putting in your effort for optimizing / creating / upsells / promotions?
I'm sorry, one more time. That was a long one.
Yeah. Basically, what are your thoughts? Where should your efforts be put? In paid advertising or focusing on things like optimizing, upsells, and promotions?
Boy. Okay, so generally what I would say is if you have sustainable revenue, or at least close to sustainable revenue today, I would focus much more on selling to my existing customers because you already own that asset, right? So I look at my email list as an asset to my business. I've invested a ton in writing content, in delivering goodwill, in giving people results as a business owner. And so that's why I have this list of people who pay attention to what I say. Some of them have bought, some haven't, right? So for whoever is buying or has bought from you, you already have them. You don't have to spend additional money, at least dollars. You're going to have to spend some time, but you don't have to spend additional money to win them over. And so I would say focus on the conversions there and figure out how you can get some more out of your conversions and deliver more value to those people. And then as you see some results there, then I would focus a little bit more into paid advertising. But it really depends on where you are in your business and what your overall strategy is for your business. So if you need a huge volume of customers and you don't have it yet, then I think that paid advertising may be something you focus on today. Generally, my advice is you obviously already have a business of some sort. Focus on those conversions and making your existing customers much more happy because that's an asset you already have.
Excellent. It looks like there'll be one more question coming through, and while we're waiting for a moment, Liston, how about this? That last slide that you had 5 specific things that we should be doing.
Yes.
How about give us, if clearly you've presented a lot of really solid information. If I, as the listener or the watcher, could only do one thing in general and one thing specifically with Receiptful, what would those things be?
Great question. I would offer 2 things. And this is me and my the way I prefer to build brands and do business with people. I would offer a discount. Thank you so much for your purchase. You're a valued customer. And give them a discount, and I would test a couple different offers of that discount. Should it be 10, 15, 20%? Should it be 7 days, 14 days, 30 days, whatever? And I would use the get to know me as a business example that we saw from Nick Socks. And the reason is, I believe, especially if you're selling a commodity like socks, right? The socks are the commodity, the differentiator is the brand. And I don't want to get into a squishy discussion of what a brand really is because I think we do need to deliver value. But if people like us, people will do business with us. And so if you can develop some personality for yourself and for your business, I think that's exceedingly important. So that would be my absolutely do these action steps advice.
Okay, I love it. It doesn't look like that last question is coming through at this point. And so how about we can start wrapping this up. Liston, if our listeners and watchers would like to learn more about you, where can they go?
Yeah, so they can go to my website. Let me just rifle through these slides so that I can show more about you too. So my website is goodfunnel.co. That's goodfunnel.co. You can email me directly. I personally check and respond to all emails, and my email address is just my first name, liston@goodfunnel.co, or you can find me on Twitter @law4. I'm also, one of the things I do with anybody new to my business is an initial good funnel strategy session where we talk about what are some of the tactics that you could employ to really move the needle for your business and grow your revenue. And I'm offering a 20% discount on that. So if anybody's interested, just let me know that you watch this Receiptful webinar, and I'd be happy to talk to you more about how that works.
Oh, hey, it looks like our question just came in.
Okay.
All right, so we can just back up just a second then. If you're in a strong relationship with your customers, how do you use such opportunities to increase new sales?
Well, the main thing is you have to communicate with them on a regular basis. And so when I showed that email nurturing campaign, that's one way to do it. I would suggest that every business on this call should have at least one broadcast email every month that goes out to everybody to remind them of something that's valuable to them that you're doing, not to say, I'm awesome, or I just hired someone new, or I launched a new website. Like, don't make it about you. Make it about what's in the interest of that person. So that could come in the form of a discount or a new product offering and what that does for the person, or a refer your friend or something like that. But in order to, if you have goodwill, right, and if you want to boost your revenue, what you need to do.
Sounds like we just lost Liston here at this last moment. We'll see if we can get him back on, hopefully, because he was just telling us a lot of good information. I'm going to echo.
Oh,
Oh, hey, we just lost you for a moment. Can you repeat maybe the last 60 seconds of what you just said?
there's no way I could create that because it was so amazing. Uh,
It was so
no,
good.
what I was saying was, the gist of it is you need to be in touch with people more often, right? And so you need to consider whatever their interest is in your business, talk about that. Don't talk about yourself, which is a huge temptation for all businesses because we get so wrapped up in our day-to-day, but really what people care about is themselves and what does well for them and what matters to them on a day-to-day basis. So be in touch with them through emails. It would be my number one piece of advice. Email is still the highest converting channel of anything.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. To backtrack to, I'm just going to go ahead and make a personal plug for Liston. I've talked with him outside of this context a few times now, and he's definitely knowledgeable and knows what he's talking about. So I would take him up on his discount and his offer and check out what he's doing over at GoodFunnel. As for me, if you're interested in learning more about me, I actually had one question that really had nothing to do with what we were talking about, but am I interested or am I looking forward to National Tabletop Day for the board gamers out there? And the answer is yes. That's coming up pretty soon here. And if you want to know more about me, you can go to jefflarge.com. I blog about a variety of things, anything from business and audio and that type of thing. Or you can find me on Twitter at RealJeffLarge, or at our company's website, comealivecreative.com. Otherwise, Liston, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure, and this has been a really great course that we delivered here, and I'm excited to hear some results.
Yeah, it'll be good to get some feedback from everybody. Thank you for everybody that's been out in the chat room. It's been really a pleasure listening to what you have to say and answering your questions. And then again, the biggest thank you goes to Receiptful. If you have not checked them out yet, you definitely want to. You can get started with them for free today by heading over to receiptful.com. So again, thank you everyone for your time, and we'll talk with you soon.